I'm delighted to award the title of Honorary Fellow of the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama to one of this country's most distinguished television, film and theatre actors, campaigner and patron of a number of charitable organisations, including the National Youth Theatre of Great Britain, and a committed friend of Central's, having graduated from Webber Douglas Academy of Dramatic Art. I'm delighted to present Hugh Bonneville. I also wanted to add a little parenthesis. When I was a young actress at the Royal Shakespeare Company, I was in a production directed by David Thacker, Two Gentlemen of Verona. I was privileged enough to take over the understudy, and guess who was my love interest? And of course, a dear friend. Hugh, over to you.
Thank you, Josette. I knew that playing boyfriend and girlfriend would pay off eventually. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For a while, some years ago, it looked as if I and my contemporaries at our drama school near Gloucester Road might have nowhere to call our alma mater because it was closing down. But thankfully, Central welcomed Webber Douglas into its embrace, and I'm humbled to have been clasped even tighter into that hug by the honour conferred on me today. Reflecting on the 35 years that have elapsed since I was in your shoes is tricky in 3 minutes, so here are 3 snapshots. Start the clock. 1. Ben Benison is a name that many drama school students of my generation will remember. A writer, actor, brilliant mime, as well as a teacher and master of improvisation. All of us students lying on the rehearsal room floor, waiting for inspiration. Sometimes it came, sometimes it didn't. Finding the free form within the structure. Nothing being right, nothing being wrong. The freedom to fail. Jump off that cliff. It doesn't have to be funny. Phrases that flew around when improvisation was in play. Play. Don't forget to play. Accept and build. Accept what your fellow actor is offering and build on it. In our world of silos, listening only to the echo in our chamber, it's all too easy to block and destroy. How much more life-affirming to accept and build. It's a phrase that served me well when the audition doesn't go my way, when the day's rehearsal feels rubbish, or indeed when I burn the dinner. Accept what's happened and build on it. 2, my very first filming job. Luckily, it's not on IMDb, so you can't look it up. I had 2 lines, a tiddly moment with the main character. Never been on a film set before. Terrified, I paced up and down outside the trucks at unit base at 7:30 a.m., knowing no one, invisible. As the lead actor stepped off the dining bus, I plucked up the courage to introduce myself and asked if he'd mind running our little scene before we went on set. I'll never forget the look of weary disdain that crossed his face, nor the grudging sigh he exhaled as he reached for the script in his pocket. His name wasn't Richard, but let's call him Richard. 3. Fresh-faced at the National Theatre, a small part in a play called Entertaining Strangers, directed by Sir Peter Hall. It was my first ever rehearsal for a scene with the leading lady. White tape marking out the set on the floor of the big rehearsal room, you know the score. She was already on centre stage. Someone exited stage right, that was my cue. As I entered from stage left, script in hand, shaking, pulse racing 19 to the dozen, she turned and looked at me. And then she did something quite unexpected. She moved decisively all the way down stage right, turning her back to the stalls, shifting the focus, hers and the audience's, entirely onto me. Put another way, she had clocked how nervous I was and was quite literally giving me the stage. From that moment on, from that moment of generosity, I felt part of the company. Why did she do that? Because once upon a time, she had been that nervous newcomer and knew what it felt like. You'll be glad to hear that she trained at Central. One of your recent presidents, Judi Dench. So to sum up, accept and build, and don't be a dick, be a Judy.